Hey, welcome to Jet Live. I'm here with Jeff Fantl, or AKA Pippin. It's great.
No, people don't know me anymore. That was over 2 years ago, CB.
Over 2 years ago. Wow. 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 Does that mean we're gonna have to wait another like 11 years? If
I hope not. I don't want to
not,
be I don't want to be a one-hit wonder in the Jerusalem community. So hopefully we'll see what comes next.
Pippin almost was, right? He jumped into the fire and
Yeah, well, okay, a little bit of background for me. When I was in middle school and high school, I did some musical theater in the JCC in Cleveland. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and we had a pretty active youth theater at the JCC, and we did all sorts of youth performances. Some of them would be like junior productions. So I was in Fiddler on the Roof, and like as a 12-year-old, and I played Fietka, the non-Jewish Russian soldier who marries Chava. And we did The Music Man, and then Your Good Man Charlie Brown. I played Schroeder. That was probably my favorite role. That was a lot of fun. And then and my last show I did in 2005 was Little Shop of Horrors. I was in 10th grade. And then I didn't really do anything. Life kind of got in the way. I did other things in high school. I went to yeshiva and the army and engineering school. And then when I was married already with 3 kids, I saw auditions for Pippin, and I said, no better time than the present, right? And even though I really had no time for it, it really worked out. And it was a show that I had already known about. And I said, I kind of like Pippin, and I think that maybe I could be Pippin. So I went for it, and I somehow got the role. But it was a lot of fun. That was with Starcatcher. And so far, that's the only show that I've done with the Jerusalem theater community. But I hope, as I said before, I hope not to be a one-hit wonder. Though my only issue is that I'm kind of picky in that I have, a full-time job and 4 children. So my schedule is such that I need to be in a show that has rehearsals that are on my way home from work and that are like between 7 and 10 p.m. because my wife is a midwife in the hospital. So she does shift work, primarily night shifts. So I need to be home before she leaves to go to the hospital. And then during tech week, it gets very complicated. So because of all of these different scheduling logistics, it becomes a little bit difficult for me to do certain shows that maybe I otherwise would have wanted to do. So that's the boring part of my life.
I think
everyone wants to know about.
I'm sure that's not boring at all. 4 kids. Oh, come on. Someone should definitely make a schedule around you, because you were an amazing Pippin. It was awesome to watch you up there, and just your personality. Like, I remember meeting you at the Hanukkah party, the Jet Hanukkah party that we did, or Dina's and Eleanor's, whatever. The Hanukkah thing that we did, and that was really, really wonderful. And I think the relationships you've created from being just in one show is fantastic, because some people, they go to show to show, and you've been in one show so far, and you've auditioned for other roles, or you were going to, and it just didn't work out timing wise.
Yeah, well, again, it's part of my pickiness that I usually have like one role that I get locked onto, and and so that La Tova Lara, like for Pippin, that worked out really well. I really wanted to be Pippin, and I got it. But then for other things, I didn't get, but it was okay, because of the people that did get it were far better than they were much more cut out for that role. But I only really auditioned for maybe 2 other things. But yeah, really, when I got into Pippin, I literally walked into the first rehearsal and I didn't know a single person. And I lived in Jerusalem. I live in Efrat now. I lived in Jerusalem for 4 years before I moved to Efrat, and I didn't know anyone in the community at all. It was like totally new to me, and everyone just really welcomed me really nicely. It was great to feel so welcome right away, and it was a really great experience. I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. So
that's awesome. I hope you find your right pick and that the schedule works out for you, because as Shlomit says here, you're an amazing and beautiful voice. So what got you started musical? It's Shlomit. I'm not saying it. I'm just kidding. What got you started in? What got you into that chug? Or Shlomit said in the chug, I don't know what they call it there, the youth program of musical theater. What was your?
It's a good question. When I was, I didn't really know that I could sing or that I had any stage potential at all until I auditioned for a 7th grade show choir out of the blue, because I saw them performing and I thought it looked pretty cool. And so I auditioned for it and I got in. And then I got a solo in it also. And then people kind of told me that I was kind of good. So then I auditioned for, then I started to become more religious when I was younger. And the only place in the, the greater Cleveland area where I grew up that didn't, there were several youth theaters. Northeast Ohio was really well known for its arts program. I know some people that I grew up with that actually moved on to Broadway. So there were definitely lots of different opportunities, but most of them would perform on Shabbat. And that was another reason why I was kind of limited to the JCC. That was the only theater group that didn't perform on Shabbat. So that was really great. And then I just got involved with that. And then when I actually started getting some better roles, like I got Schroeder, and then I was Mr. Mushnik in Little Shop of Horrors, and then that was also a lot of fun, getting eaten by a plant on stage. And then, like I said, I just got involved with other chugim at the time, some sports at school and whatnot. So then that's kind of how it was. But then when I came to Israel, so I lived here ever since I graduated high school. And in 2015, I think it was, I saw Starcatcher's Rent. And that was the first time I even knew that there was like English speaking theater in Jerusalem at all. I hadn't even known about all of these shows that have been going on for long before Rent. And I think it was just like a fluke. Like I just saw it pop up on my Facebook one day, or I don't remember how I saw it, but I was like, oh, I like Rent. I want to go see it. So I just went by myself. Like I didn't really have any friends to go see it with. And I just went on my own, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And then a few years later is when I actually auditioned for Pippin. So now I see that this.
And your kids were sleeping and everything.
Sorry?
You have 4 kids now. How are you able to go to Rent? You have you brought them.
There's a reason why I went by myself. My wife stayed back, probably because we couldn't find a babysitter. Sometimes when you have kids and there's just like something that you really want to go do or see, it's worth it just to go on your own if you can't find a babysitter, because you're not gonna have an opportunity to go later. So
that's how I discovered theater. As I mentioned, like in Atlanta, I just went into. I mean, I knew about it, but like when I really got the push to really get involved, I went on my own to something, and even though I asked people, no one wanted to go with me.
Yeah.
But that's what you got to do. You got to take that plunge. You don't have any train? You didn't train at all? Did you train with your voice or?
In high school, I took some voice lessons, and we had a few recitals. There was one voice competition that I was in. It was more of like an evaluation more than it was like against other people. And yeah, but that also I ended that in 10th grade as well. The same time I did Little Shop of Horrors, and then I hadn't done anything between then and whatever it was 2 years ago with Pippin. And people have said to me that I should try to be a chazan, but I never formally learned chazanut or anything like that. So sometimes I do on Shabbat, but it's not like my thing. So yeah, I don't know.
Right.
That's it for my formal training. I would like to do some more formal training though, but it's just hard to balance it all. So.
Yeah, I know. You got to find the time with all those kids kids and the work and everything. I, there's always something happening. But what is there anything that math has to do with found any connection between the two? I don't even know. You don't even work with math.
Math?
math.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, because I studied engineering. Well, yeah, well, my day job is I'm an optics engineer at Nova in Rehovot. So I travel. I live in Efrat. I travel to Rehovot, which is about an hour and 5 minutes, and then if I have rehearsal, so then I would go through Jerusalem on my way home. Um, uh, I would say that I'm very left-brained in that my strong suits are math and science, and I'm very like things need to be a certain way in my mind. And um, being in this community has really allowed, especially when I was in Pippin, and especially working with the Starcatcher team, when they think so out of the box. It was the first time I really kind of understood what art was, and like kind of explored this more creative side of me that I didn't really know that I had. So yeah, I mean, I think that definitely it was a really great outlet for that, and very grateful for having that as well. But
Was it? Was it?
I sometimes see that it's a little bit more difficult. It's more challenging for me to tap into that like that thinking outside of the box type of thing, because the way I think is a little bit more, the liberal arts. I was always not so great at English and history and things like that. And when I remember as a kid, like I would just draw the same picture every day during like coloring time. I would draw like a picture of a tornado because that was really easy to draw. so like
it became a tornado.
what?
It became a tornado.
It became a tornado. Yeah. So like I definitely. So then all of a sudden when I was in Pippin, I was like, oh, this is like what art is all about, and this is what creativity is all about, and that was something. So I remember like when I auditioned for In the Heights like the following year. I remember I was like, I need to tap into my artistic side. So I wore 2 different socks on my feet. And that was like me. That was like the extent of me like being artistic, was like putting on 2 different socks. And even that, like I felt uncomfortable all day long. So that's a little bit of Jeff.
But I mean, like when you sing or when you're singing, usually there's a rhythm to it, right? There's the notes and there's timing. So
Oh, in
is there
terms
is
of
your
like,
does your like mathematic training kind of, does that help you with understanding the way that the because I'm horrible at it. I have to admit, I'm like, I had to, like, when I was in Next to Normal, Chaim Tugachinsky, I was like sitting before every single show, and I loved him for it. He would go through one of the songs with me all the time just to get the timing.
so it's funny that you say that, because
It was a really like
it's funny you say that, because there was actually this one part in Pippin, in the finale of Pippin, where Pippin is singing and the leading player, who was played by Rebecca Sykes, has dialogue, and we needed to time the dialogue in between the singing parts, and I needed to just ignore what she was saying and just count the beats, and I was really bad at it, and I think I missed my cues at almost every single performance. And I think by closing night, I finally got it right. But it was like off every time. And luckily, no one really noticed except for the orchestra. And before every show, they're like, Jeff, you still didn't get it right. We're going to go over this again. So I don't think that my math training and that I can do calculus, multivariable calculus on a piece of paper, really translates into me being able to count beats while I'm trying to figure out, like, if I'm standing in the right spot and singing the right notes and all of those things at the same time. I'm not the best multitasker in the world. You can ask my wife. I'm very good at focused objectives, but not very good at like doing a bunch of things at once. But yeah, so I don't know if that really translates. What is really interesting is music theory. That is something that certainly intrigues me, because the way that all of the notes work together and chords work together, at the end of the day, it's all vibrations through the medium, through air. and at different frequencies, and why certain frequencies sound good together with other frequencies, and how they complement each other and harmonize together. That is something that's all physics and math, and that's something that certainly intrigues me as someone who studied all of that. But yeah, I certainly had challenges when in Pippin. Luckily, he didn't dance too much. I had one dance break.
You had that awesome dance with what was the song?
With Rebecca Sykes in On the Right Track. Beginning of that. That's the one, Stevie. Yeah. So the beginning of Act 2 is On the Right Track, and I had to go over that dance. I don't know, so many times by myself at home. I was practicing the dance probably for a few hours. I even like slipped and fell at home, and like my wife like was in the other room and heard like a crash, and she was like, "Oh my God, what's going on over there?" But luckily we made it. Oh, a couple other funny Pippin stories. I broke my toe like during the last dress rehearsal the night before opening night, because I stepped on a box and someone accidentally put the box like on its side, and like my foot just went right through the box. And but luckily it didn't affect any of my like mobility, and I was able to walk around and dance and everything. But my toe was numb for like half of the run, and yeah, so Pippin was a lot of fun. I want any casters who may be watching this to know that I can dance if I practice enough. I can't dance at an audition where I am shown the dance a few times and then I'm expected to do it by myself in front of a panel of people looking at me. I just can't do it. I'll just like kind of shake around for a couple of minutes because I won't be able to do it. But if you give me some time, if I can go home and learn it or something like that, then I'll blow your socks off. I don't know about, actually, no, I won't, but I'll be able to do the moves.
So send a video a week beforehand, and then you'll come in and you'll be prepared.
Correct. Or maybe I'll just send them a clip with
Starcatcher. Note that down for some community members.
Exactly.
Not just Jeff. I'm also like that, by the way. But it's the movement, really. Like we're movers, you know. We can move.
Once I get it locked in the muscle memory, I have no problem. Once it's in the
So do you have a secret talent that we don't know about? That's secret. That no one knows it. Not even your wife knows about.
A talent? Well, I found out, this is something I found out during Pippin, is that I can make up lyrics on the spot that actually rhyme. I did this a couple times. Yeah, so that was...
and no one knew that you...
What? You were cutting out.
Having fun with it, or you were just having fun with it, or you messed up the words and you were just
there were two instances. One was during the song Extraordinary, where I just totally blanked on what I was supposed to be singing, and we had like this joke, like this inside joke in the cast, how like this like area was called the Cabbage Patch. So I just started singing about the Cabbage Patch that was there. And I didn't make that part rhyme, but like I pulled it off and no one noticed. And then I got back on to like the correct lyrics, and everyone in the cast was like kind of laughing on the inside because they knew that was not how it went at all. And then during Morning Glow, which is the end of Act 1, I also completely blanked. I don't know how people do it. I get so like hyped up about like remembering the words. It's like the more you think about remembering the words, the less you're actually going to remember them. You just have to like kind of go out there and just like let them come out. But I still haven't mastered that exactly. But anyway, so I got so like freaked out that I just forgot the lyrics as they were coming, but I came up with other lyrics that also rhymed and made sense. And Ellie said afterwards, "Well, Jeff, you rewrote Stephen Schwartz's music." I don't know if he'll be so pleased with that, but
we're keeping it in.
What?
We're keeping it in.
Yeah, it worked out. Thank God.
I've
learned how to cook lately because my wife has been working pretty hard in the hospital, and I've been having to make Shabbat a lot. So that's usually the division of labor. It used to be more that she did more of the cooking and I did more of the cleaning, and now I'd say it's about half of each and half of each. So I've been doing a lot more cooking lately as well, which I didn't.
Juggling 4 kids at the same
What?
time. So you're juggling
Yeah.
4 kids at the same time.
Correct.
You're constantly multitasking without even knowing it.
Yeah, well, I just ignore my kids.
The secret of theater, as you pointed out before, is that the here. This is actually from us. The secret of theater is that you don't overthink it really, and you go on there, and whatever comes out. And the audience won't really know that you messed up the lines. Ellie will, and she'll probably, and Steven Schwartz, if he came to see Pippin, he would also. But like most people, except for like those avid fans, would be like that. They wouldn't notice. And
that is true. That is really true.
Great. So
that is true. However, in a musical, I feel like there is a little bit more pressure to actually say the lyrics, because if you mess up the words of a song, it's very difficult to, make it rhyme, make it sound like it's supposed to, ad lib to it,
yeah.
So
in the play, if you don't have your right cue, sometimes the next is supposed to say a line, won't say the line because they'll be waiting for you. It happened to me once. I just went on a loop with someone. He was waiting for me to say something about a flag, and like he wasn't hearing it from me, so we just went on a loop in the scene. Lots of fun. We had a lot of fun with it. We got yelled at afterwards by the director, I think, but and we didn't mess up again. But it happens. It happens to all of us. But yeah, exactly. Getting on stage and not overthinking it. But that's what you're doing. You have 4 kids. Your wife is busy, and you got to go cook and do whatever. And you're doing it. So you're living life.
Trying to. There's these talents that we just kind of, we're not necessarily born with, but we have to kind of gain as we go along. So I'm doing my best. I've also become very handy. I use my, odd jobs around the house and things like that I never knew. I mean, thank God for the internet to help teach us these things, but, things that you just kind of have to learn how to do as you have a home and a family and everything like that. So, yeah, it's not the most original talent in the world. I can't juggle fire or anything, but
this started 3 months ago, or it's been ongoing. You learning all the talents. Like I just want to say, you mentioned Steven Schwartz. So the guy who inspired me to do this, Ken Davenport, his first interviewee, his first interviewee was Steven Schwartz. Mm-hmm. So in a way, you guys kind of, in a way, if we think that like this is from what he's doing, then like Steven Schwartz was the first interviewee, and you're now part of that whole line of people being interviewed. So for next time, when you have another audition coming up, or if you're in another show, what did you learn from this experience? I mean, what I love about the way you're talking about Pippin is like, I can't remember half the shows that I've been in because I've been in like, I don't know, a dozen. So then like there's some of them maybe at some point I'll like have a really good memory, but like you have all these great memories of it and they're still there because you haven't like.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. When I was in Pippin, I felt like because it was my first show and everyone else, almost everyone there had like just been in a show or they're in like 3 shows at once. Like to them, I felt like it was like, oh, just another show, and then I'm just going to go on to the next thing. And for me, it was like this eye-opening experience, and it was like the first time I was in it, and it was a very cohesive. You meet these people and you become like so close with them in such a short amount of time. Everyone was very respectful for my religious observance that I tried to maintain, and I certainly, like, for me, it just made such an impression, and I felt like, oh, I'm the only one here who's really feeling that. But then they're like, no, this show is really special, and
it was.
And everyone in the cast said, no, Jeff, it's not just you. This is your first show, but I want you to know this isn't normal. Like we have an amazing cast. Everyone here like gets along so well. We all feel very close. and that was very cool. But in terms of like what to take to my next, experience, I don't know. I can't. I haven't really thought about it so much.
Well, that's why we asked the question.
I know. I mean, it's definitely opened up a creative side of me that I didn't think that I had. Every experience is something that you take something with you. There are a lot of different roles that I really hope to play that either already have been put on in Jerusalem, shows that have already been put on or maybe not yet. And I'm still a little bit, picky in terms of the things that I want to do / can do, given my schedule and everything like that. I wish that I could do more, and I wish that I could be less picky because that would open a lot more doors for me. So, yeah, I don't know. Definitely one thing that I learned was just because I was the lead in Pippin does not mean that I was the most talented person on that stage. There was such incredible talent, and then the Starcatcher shows just kept getting better and better. And there was In the Heights, which was unreal, and then Chicago, which I was really lucky to see because unfortunately, like 5 of their shows got canceled because of Corona. But I was like, wow, I can't even, like, for me, it was like, I can't believe I was at the caliber of being, in a Starcatcher show, because after that, I just feel like they completely raised the bar and it looked like a professional performance. And it was really, like, I feel privileged that I was able to be part of that.
I love what you're saying. And I just want everybody to hear what you're saying and like to take that, like what you're saying, like to take that in each show that we do, we should go with that kind of like attitude of like, this is really special. And I think maybe that's something that I lost, I guess, but it's really good to have that feeling, to be in something and really realize how special it is. And every single show that we do, the truth is, especially here, like it's not easy. None of this stuff is easy to do, to put it up and make it happen. So keep that experience with you. And you should totally do more stuff. And I hope that it works out with your schedule. I had a question that I want. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you. What is the favorite role? And don't say Jean Valjean.
No, I'm too young to play him, I think.
I'm just kidding. It's just every single man that I speak to on this interview says Jean Valjean. I'm like, oh, we have to do like 10 Les Miserables in order to get everybody to get a role, or all of us are understudies. But I'm kidding with you. What's your favorite roles? Like, what would you want to? What would you want to do?
I would love to do Into the Woods, and maybe either be Jack or the Baker. Those are 2 roles that I would really love to play. Maybe Tick Tick Boom. That would be a fun show to do. Yeah, I don't know. Those 2 come to mind first because I don't know. I've given them some thought. Jean Valjean, I guess, would be fun. Les Mis would be a fun show to be in, but I could see myself maybe being like 3 different people on that show though. So
you could be Marius.
Marius, or
you said you're too young for Jean Valjean. You could be Marius or the other guy who's the Edgeros. I can't believe I'm fudging that on Jet Live. Edgeros.
I know who you're talking about, but I'm not going to try to say his name because I'm not going to get it right.
But yeah, that would be a great show to be done.
But I would really like to be in a Stephen Sondheim show because I've never been in one. Not that I've been in so many shows, but that just because the more that I learned about his music and I like watched some YouTube videos about him, and there's just so much to unpack, and it'd be really cool to really dive deep into one of his shows and to really learn it and be a part of it. So that'd be pretty cool. And then I think my favorite Stephen Sondheim show would be Into the Woods. So
right. Where was Pippin the same time as Assassins, or was it before?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it happened. Yeah, I saw it, but I saw it with you after when they did like their little revival at the end. I didn't see you in it. I saw it with you.
Oh right, it was after Pippin.
Yeah.
But then I think you were asked to maybe take over my role. I don't remember. Did we ask? And then you just didn't have the time. This is Shlomi being funny.
I think you asked me, but I think I declined.
Yeah.
But
scheduling.
Yeah.
But that's a Sondheim. I don't know if it's a Sondheim, but it is a Sondheim.
No, it's on it for sure.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's a weird Sondheim compared to the other Sondheims. I think
They're all kind of weird, aren't they?
Yeah. There we go, Abiela. So what would they're doing like a family, like how, like are they training? Are they practicing? Are they you're going to raise them to become part of your community?
I would love for them to be in. I would love for them to be in some sort of a chug. I think that a couple of my kids definitely have the stage presence in them. My oldest is turning 8 this month, so they're still kind of young. He started playing piano, so he's finishing his first year of piano. And he used to love singing "Corner of the Sky" with me, which was fun. And he came to see Pippin, and that was like the first play or musical that he's ever seen, and he loved it. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to try to push them one way or the other, but if they have an interest in it, I will definitely encourage it and try to get them involved. Yeah, I mean, I remember my dad sent me to this like acting chug thing when I was in, I don't know, 4th or 5th grade, where we like put on skits and did improv and stuff like that. And that was like my first, taste into the theater life. So yeah, if there's like a chug like that, I would certainly encourage them if they wanted to. So yeah.
Awesome. This is a question that comes up in our community a lot, I think. And I know, and you sort of had this with you and Pippin, but what's your take on how to be able to? I know that it's from an artistic point of view, from the director side also, but being showmanagia and going on stage and being in a romantic lead role, and still being able to tackle the subject matter and to be able to create that atmosphere and that life on stage in the same artistic way while being showmanagia. I think it's something that a lot of actors are think about, and our community especially tries to keep an open mind about it. So
yeah,
definitely hear your experience.
So luckily, or I don't know, I think it's luckily, I don't think that's an expectation at all. The Starcatcher team, Ellie and Eli, were both very understanding, and they made it work. And I made it very clear on my audition sheet when I filled it out that, I have certain religious limitations. And Ellie's outlook was like, if us as directors can't make it work, then we failed. Like you don't need to have making out on stage in order to get the point across that these two people are in love. And there's even a scene in Pippin where like there's no dialogue, like all of a sudden Pippin and Catherine just start making out, and like Ellie was like, it's like such lazy writing. Like you can flesh it out in a more creative way than that. And there were some blocking technical difficulties, and there were some scenes that may have been, a little bit more edgy. But the way that they did it, everyone felt comfortable, and I think it was really well done. It was really tasteful, and I think that the Jerusalem audience is forgiving in that, we're going to the theater company is going to cast based on the talent. And the audience is going to be understanding that some people are maybe a little bit more religious in some areas, or a little bit more sensitive about certain things. And I think that it's something really special that we would have here that we wouldn't necessarily have anywhere else. I don't think that if I'd gone maybe even in any other city in Israel, I don't know if that would have had the same level of understanding. And it has been a concern in my mind, like if I audition for this show, like, oh, I shouldn't even bother because there's no way I'll get it, because the second I say that I don't want to kiss a girl on stage, they're going to say, well, that's like an integral part of the plot. So yeah, sometimes it comes up, but I also think that like if the director really wants me to play the role, they'll figure it out. And so it's just a testament to whether or not I'm right for the role. So I guess for Pippin, they really thought I was right enough for the role that they're willing to figure out down the line what it's going to be. You know, you have like the main issue and the side issue. So
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they did do that, because, as I said before, you're an amazing addition to the community.
Thanks.
And sorry to embarrass you again.
I'm blushing.
But yeah, it's just something that comes up again and again, because obviously, like, how do you do that kind of thing? And by the way, if anybody's listening from outside of Israel and doesn't understand Hebrew, Shomer Negia is watching your touch, like that you're not having any touch between a man and a woman. And it's not even just romantic touch, it's also any touch. And there's many different levels, but we won't go into that. For different people and different what they are comfortable with.
Right.
So what would you say to somebody? What would you say to somebody who joins the community for the first time? They see an audition, like you saw the audition, you're like, I'm going. What would you say to somebody who sees social distancing? That's Shomer Negia, is social distancing. So we've already started to establish how to do that with our community, so we can teach all the rest of the communities how to do social distancing on stage.
There you go.
So what would be your advice for someone who wants to audition in our community and it's their first time?
Just to go for it. I mean, there's no reason to be nervous. Everyone here wants to just have a good time. And either you'll get it or you won't. But if you don't get it, it's not like it's not necessarily. It doesn't mean that you're not good. It just means that the people casting the show are looking for something specific, and you may fill that role or you may not. But it's really just. It's just fun, you know. It's just a great way to make friends and to meet people and to really get involved in something really unique and really special, something that I think is really unique in the Jerusalem community, in the city of Jerusalem, rather, that I don't know if it necessarily exists anywhere else in the country. And just to go for it. And don't be like me. Don't be picky. I know that I'm not a great dancer. That's the main reason why I don't go for the ensemble, because the ensemble, you have to be really good at dancing. If you can, for sure in Starcatcher, because those dancers are amazing. But if you can dance, then you should take the ensemble role, because you're still going to have an awesome time. And because you're going to put on a great show, and it doesn't mean that you're anything less than the people who are the leads. And the ensemble are, you know, super important and super critical. They may determine whether or not the lead breaks his toe. So they wield the power. Yeah.
With breaking toes. By the way, you weren't the only one that got injured in that show. I mean, that's like a disaster.
Oh yeah,
because there was
Amalia Sykes also got hurt herself one night. Yeah,
there were a few people. So I actually have a really cool thing next Tuesday. Is today Tuesday? No, today's Monday, right?
Today's Monday.
Today's Monday. So next Tuesday, a day after tomorrow, we have a really awesome thing where we're having Yael Silver is going to be giving a workshop about
a week from tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow. A week from tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow.
Yeah, sorry, a week from June 30th. We're going to have a Zoom workshop with Yael Silver, who was on Jet Live, and she's going to talk about her experience about producing. She's going to talk about producing for social justice reasons, different things like that. And but tomorrow we have Roy Dolliner, who's a writer. I was in one of them, right? He's an award-winning writer. Rachel Green, who was in not Your Good Man, Charlie Brown. first date. She was in first date at J-Town is on Wednesday, and then we've got your Dana and Maury Buxner on Thursday. So we got a great lineup after you, Jeff. And you've been awesome. And don't break your toe again. Enjoy with your kids. And I'm looking forward to seeing you more. And I really hope you get a role in a show
Coming up.
because you are awesome. Whenever that happens, I really hope that you get your chance.
I hope so too.
And,
into the woods, people! Into the woods!
They did it.
Congratulations! You just got me. I just want to say congratulations. You got me talking for 40 minutes, and we didn't even mention CrossFit. So that's pretty good. As a CrossFitter, I feel like that's what I have to talk about it. So that's a pretty big accomplishment for you. So
you mentioned CrossFit. Thank you. Well, everybody, CrossFit's awesome too. Jeff
it's fine. We don't need to talk about CrossFit.
Thank you very much, everybody. Jeff, thank you again. And we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Cindy.